Hello, good morning. How are you guys doing today? Oh, wow, that's worse than usual. I know, it's depressing. I'm depressed. The snow is falling, it's cold, I'm sick, I want to stay in bed, and I've been whining all day. I don't know, anyone feel like that? Nope? Who's really excited to be here today? No one, absolutely no one. I see one hand. Well, I hope that we can get some energy going today. I'm excited to welcome Dr. Ernie Medina. Ernie is a classmate of mine from high school and college. He's a graduate here of Andrews University, and he finished his Bachelor of Science in Health Sciences. Also has a Master of Public Health from Loma Linda and a Doctorate of Public Health from Loma Linda. He is here to talk to us about the future of wellness, and he has done a lot of research and studying about how to make exercise fun. And that's something we need to think about as we're here bundled up and in the cold. So if you'll just bow your heads with me right now, we'll invite God to be with us. We talk about taking care of our bodies. Dear Father in heaven, we thank you so much for another day of life, and we thank you for the physical bodies that you've given us and all the things that we can do with our bodies to glorify you. So today I ask that you be with us, be with Dr. Medina as he talks with us about exercising and taking care of our health and wellness. Thank you so much for all that you've done for us. In Jesus' name, amen. You guys are in the back, come on down to the front. There's plenty of seats, and please join me now in welcoming Dr. Ernie Medina.
All right, is this okay? Good. Well, good morning, everyone. It's good to be back. I don't actually get to be back all that often during the wintertime, so this is the first time I've been back here during the wintertime in quite a few years. And man, I'll tell you, after leaving here in '89 to go out to California, I've lost my toughness for the cold. This is cold. I don't know, I posted on Facebook this morning, me eating a baked apple that my mom made. My parents live here. They've been living here since '75. I was eating a baked apple sitting next to this little heater that they have inside the house, and people were, making fun of me on Facebook, saying, "Oh, you're wimping out," and all this kind of thing. I said, "Yeah, I know. I admit it." So I just want to say, welcome greetings from Loma Linda, California. Just maybe this will help warm you guys up a little bit. This was taken last week, and it was like in the mid-80s, and we were mountain biking with some kids, and it was hot. And so hopefully that'll maybe warm you up a little bit. But we've been having a drought. So, I heard that you guys had to truck out your snow. I remember when I was a student here, we would drive after hours in the parking lot in our four-wheel drive and then crash through the big piles in the middle, and do donuts and all that. But they said that I guess you had so much snow, you had to bring them out to the field. So if you can just ship it out to California, because we need water bad. The hills are very brown there. So I'm going to talk to you about fun and fitness, and it's not going to be all fun and games, although at the end, some of you may be thinking about this during my talk this morning. I'm going to need some volunteers. I'm going to need a male student, a female student, and then one faculty or staff person here if they're here. I know Dr. Fainer's here, and I know Debbie's here, but I don't know if anybody else is here. But we're going to do a little contest at the end, so just think about that. If you know somebody who might be good at doing a little running test, we're going to be doing that up here. But we're going to talk about fun and fitness and exercise and wellness and all that. And just to let you know, what my background is, I went to Loma Linda, got my doctorate in public health and preventive care, so I focus on lifestyle medicine. So I focus on exercise, nutrition, stress management, and quitting smoking. Those are sort of the main areas that I focus on. So it's sort of a mix of a exercise physiologist, nutritionist, and then a behavior counselor, all sort of wrapped in one. And for about 21 years, I worked at a medical clinic in Redlands, California, working with patients both individually as well as in group settings to try to help them to get them to lose weight, exercise, eat right, reverse their diabetes, quit smoking, de-stress, that kind of thing. And so I did that for about 21 years, and then just last month in January, I switched hats and I moved back to school, to academia at Loma Linda. So I'm a brand new faculty there at Loma Linda, and so it's good to be back in school. So, but what a lot of people know me about is this right here. They have nicknamed me the physical activity evangelist because I'm always trying to get people to be more active in whatever ways. Not that they always have to do races and all that. And you'll see some pictures here. I have a lot of pictures. You'll see some pictures here. You'll see my daughter on the left there. You'll see her all throughout. She's at different ages and all that. But we practice what we preach. We're always active out there, out there in California. Now, we have some other family members. This is my wife's dog, Davy. He's a Yorkie. And he is one of our family members that is not quite ready for exercising yet. He's a little scared about going out, and he would rather stay in bed. So he'd rather stay in bed while my wife's on the treadmill and all that. Now, my dog, I have my own dog, and this is Roxy, and she loves to exercise. I mean, in the morning when I'm getting dressed in my mountain biking gear, she's just all hyper and ready to go, because there are some nice hills. If you've never been to Loma Linda, there are some nice hills out in Loma Linda, less than a half a mile from our house, that we go pretty much every morning mountain biking, and she loves it out there. It's a paradise for dogs. So she'll go out there. This is a place called Razor Ridge. I don't know, anybody ever ridden this on a mountain bike from California? Anybody go to Loma Linda Academy or Redlands? No? This is Razor Ridge, and most people walk across this. And so if you ever come out there and you want to try it, you can ride it. But she loves exercising. So, so we're always trying to get people to be more active and enjoy it. And so that's what the topic is about, fun fitness. And I was looking online, I saw, man, there's a lot of people talking about fun fitness. Why are we so focused on making it fun? Because when I was working with patients, I would hear a lot of excuses why people didn't exercise. What do you think was the number one reason that I would hear that why people didn't exercise? Okay, no time, right? How many of you say that you don't have enough time to exercise? Okay, you're right. I would hear that all the time, but when I really dug down below that and said, well, do you really not have enough time to exercise? What I really found out was that they didn't like to exercise because they had time to do other things that they like to do. All right, they made time to play golf. They made time to go watch a movie. They had time to watch television. So it wasn't that they didn't have enough time, really. It's that they just didn't like exercising. I mean, I have, in all my 21 years in working with patients, I think I had one patient who legitimately could say he didn't have time. He would get up at 3 in the morning, lived up in the mountains, get up at 3 in the morning, drive to his work, down the mountain, down into the valley, start his job at like about 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning, work till about 2, 30 minutes for lunch, get off at 2, get back in his car, drive back up to the mountain, get there about 5 o'clock, pick up a second job, and then work till about 10 o'clock at night. And then he would get home at 10:30, have dinner, go to bed at midnight, get up at 3. So that was his life. Where was he going to squeeze in exercise in that kind of lifestyle? And even while he's sitting there telling me this, guess what he's doing in my office? He's nodding off. He's falling asleep, right there. So most of us do have time. It's a matter of priorities and all this. And I always remembered, if I don't get a chance to say this, because I know, we're going to talk more about fun and fitness, I always found that when I was in school, especially in grad school, I had classmates who would study, 8 hours, outside of class straight. That I couldn't do that. And so I found that if I studied less, but then I took time to be active, play intramurals or go to the gym or do something, I was more efficient and more effective in the 4 or 6 hours that I studied versus those others who studied for 7 or 8 or 9 hours straight without exercising. So there's a return on investment when you do take the time. You're better at the things that you want to do. So when I talk to people, this is the reason why I think we focus so much on fun, is because a lot of people hate to exercise for whatever reason. It hurts, it's boring, they don't like it. I had one patient said because of boot camp, he went to the military and he was in boot camp. He said that because of the way they worked him out hard, he was allergic to sweating. I said, allergic to sweating? I mean, really allergic? No, he just didn't like the sweat because of his boot camp experience. And this guy was a life coach. He coached other people how to overcome their obstacles and their challenges, but that was one he couldn't do for himself. And so people don't like to exercise for a lot of reasons. A lot of other people don't like to exercise because they're afraid of getting hurt, right? Injury or something. I was biking along the bike path here on the Santa Nerve Trail, and I came across this pileup, and this is actually a set-up picture. I try to get the kids to look like they're in pain, but they're all laughing there, except for the mom. But it's a real reason why a lot of people don't like to exercise, is because they get hurt. They don't do anything all week, and then they go exercise on the weekend, and then they get injured. So even though we know a lot of the benefits of exercise, I'm not going to go into all that today, because we hear it all the time, all the benefits of exercise. Most people still aren't exercising. When you look at aerobic recommendations and strength training recommendations and stretching recommendations, almost 80% of the population are not doing the minimum recommendations in all 3 areas. okay? And so, again, some of the benefits, especially for you guys as students, stress is a huge one, and exercise, when you look at what happens in the body in stress, with the physical changes and the psychological changes under stress, and you look at what exercise does, exercise is the best #1 antidote to offset all the things that under stress. So if you're stressed out a lot, you're not exercising, you are missing the #1 tool for helping you to de-stress and deal with the stresses that you may be facing. Exercise doesn't get rid of the finals, right? It doesn't get rid of the stress, but it can help your body deal with that. So that's a big one. Anybody know, any maybe biochem, neuro people here know about BDNF? Anybody out there? No? No, you haven't heard about this? Well, BDNF is a protein in the brain. There's the chemical on the right-hand side. And so BDNF is a chemical in the brain that helps your brain cells to multiply. It basically helps you to grow more brain cells and increases connections in the brain. So they've done studies with kids at school, their academic study, their fitness level, they got them in shape, and what happened to their academics? Their grades went up. Okay? And so if you exercise on a regular basis, you're going to increase BDNF levels in your brain, which basically means your brain is going to grow. It's going to grow more. Okay? And then when you think about that, for those of us who are a little older, okay, what are some of the things that we worry about as we're getting older? Forgetfulness, senility, cognitive problems, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, okay, all these kinds of brain degeneration. Now, yeah, exercise can also not be good for your brain. My parents live on Kephart, and we grew up, like Debbie said, I graduated from Andrews Academy and Andrews University here. So where I lived on Kephart, you all know, well, maybe you don't know, it's been a while now, but who lived at the very end of Kephart for many, many years? Muhammad Ali. He was our neighbor. And so certain types of exercises, if you're getting your head bashed in all the time, is not good for the brain. But in general, exercise is good for the brain. It increases BDNF. So if you want to become smarter, you'll want to do what? You want to exercise. So a lot of good reasons. And we knew about the dangers of not being active. In fact, back in 1960, a book came out that was entitled Hypokinetic Disease, Diseases Produced by the Lack of Physical Activity. 1960. We've known about this, but yet medicine hasn't really been promoting this as a tool because, it's exercise. It's not drugs. It's not surgery. It's not that. But we've known about this a long time. Fortunately now, finally, in 2008, the government finally came out with official recommendations for physical activity. Any health science majors here know what is the minimum recommendation for aerobic activity per week? Good, very good. 150 minutes per week. Okay, 150 minutes per week. That's one of the recommendations. So we finally came out with that, and now medicine, healthcare is finally getting on board because there has been more research showing that exercise is medicine. This is a program started in 2009 by the American College of Sports Medicine to try to get practitioners, healthcare practitioners, to really look at exercise as a serious modality, a serious intervention. Okay, so when we look at exercise and trying to be active both for ourselves and for other people, I broke it down into this acronym. So this is sort of my outline that I'm going to look at. FUN, fun. We're going to talk about, first of all, fun, universal, and then never ending. So let's focus on fun first. Exercise, when I was here, I didn't like to just do the regular training kind of exercise. I always liked to do it if it was fun. So I know many of you are into sports, intramurals. I did a lot of co-ed intramurals because co-ed seemed to be less serious than just the all-male intramurals. But playing different sports, having a good time, being physically active, just playing around. When I was here, one of our friends, Damien, he started indoor lacrosse in the wintertime, and then we got out to outdoor lacrosse. I had never played lacrosse before, and it was an awesome game. We didn't do all the checking and all, but we would play lacrosse right there on the field, and I enjoyed that. I know that you have now here, I don't know if you take them out during the wintertime, but this was taken, I guess, when they first opened this up. This was a few years ago that you had that Frisbee golf course. Have you done that? Have you guys done that Frisbee golf course? Well, when I was a student here, back in the late 80s, we didn't have that. And I remember once I was TAing for one of the PE teachers, and I remember once creating a Frisbee golf course on campus, just hitting different things, guardrails, doors, trees. And I remember once that we actually had to hit the door of the administration building go through the basement of the administration building and then out the other side of the administration building with the Frisbees. So we had a whole class of Frisbees flying through the administration building, and people were looking at us like, what is he doing? So I had to create our own Frisbee golf course here on campus before. Now you guys have these nice baskets. So that's a fun way to be active. Rock climbing is another great way for strength training. It's a fun way. And now they're doing things to make even monotonous sports like running more enjoyable and more fun. Has anybody ever done one of these color kinds? No? Are they do? Oh, I see a couple hands. Where did you do it here in Michigan, or was it somewhere else? In Chicago. Okay. Yeah, these are really big in California. I've not done one yet, but they throw all this stuff on you, right? I don't know how you breathe. Do you have to wear a mask or something? But you come out just covered in this chalk. So this is now a fun way, and this is attracting a lot more people who would never do a 5K before. Man, to get all messy like that, now that's attracting people. See, again, sort of the fun idea. Another one that's really new is these zombie runs. Anybody ever do a zombie run? Okay, I've not done one yet. I know there's an app called Zombie Run, but this is a race where you're running along the course, and all of a sudden these zombies come out and chase you on the course. And they have a limited number of zombies that you can sign up for. Like they ask for 25 zombies, and they say the zombie slots fill up first. Because I thought, man, I'd love to be a zombie, and chasing people, getting all, gross like that. But it's all for fun. So those are some ways that people are doing things. These are some pictures about. This just happened Sunday. Fun or fitness doesn't always. It can be fun, but it can also be hard work. My daughter is 16, and she's on a high school mountain bike team out there. And so last Sunday, or just a couple days ago, we were out there, 80-degree weather. It was hot. I got a little burned from it. But she was out there, and these guys are working hard. She's down there in the bottom right hand. The start was in deep sand. And, so it's really hard work. It was hot out there. But at the end, after working out hard, the fun, of winning, actually her team got third place in team standings. And, so that was a lot of fun. And so it's not just about winning. They just had to finish and get points for the team. But fortunately, some of them, my daughter and another friend, a teammate, they got fourth place on their specific divisions. And so, it's all about the social aspect. The social aspect of doing these kinds of things. Make it fun, make it tolerable, make it enjoyable, so that way it's a little bit more easy to be active. Every New Year's morning, New Year's Day, for the last 20-some years, ever since I left here and was out in California, we would do a hike up a local mountain somewhere to see the sunrise. I was in Japan for a year as a student missionary, and that's where I learned about this tradition. So when I came back, I came back here to Berrien. There is no mountain here to climb. So when I went out to California, I found that there were mountains there. So we'd get up at 5:30 in the morning, climb to the top in the dark, see the sunrise. The bottom picture are the people who can't get up at 5:30 on New Year's Day because they stayed up all, late New Year's Eve. So we do a noon hike as well. So I go up twice. And so this year we had a little over 130 people who went up to the top. So again, the social aspect makes it fun because it is a pretty tough climb. And so that's one way to get people more active. Video games. We know a lot about technology and video games, and that's one way that I've gotten into it. Anybody have a Wii or a Xbox Play or Play Move or any of that kind of thing? So it was really interesting. It is now becoming mainstream. Just last December, I was in Geneva. I was invited by the International Olympic Committee to go to Geneva because they were convening, they wanted to make some recommendations about how they could use technology, active gaming, for increasing physical activity in kids around the world. This is the IOC, we just finished the Olympics. And so, people are looking for ways, how can we motivate people to be active? And they know that video games can do that. And we've done, like Debbie said, we've done some research, we've done a lot of different things. Active video games are being used in a lot of different areas for rehab, for special populations, for seniors, obviously for kids and athletic training. So there's a lot of different things. We had a pediatric obesity program going called Family Fit, where we use these video games for both the kids and the parents, because obviously you can see, they have overweight or obese kids. A lot of times the parents were also in the same condition. So we actually try to encourage the parents exercising with their kids. And we've done some studies locally there with both Loma Linda University and some other places where we've done to see, do video games actually, are they really exercise? And there's Summer there on the bottom there. She's wearing a portable metabolic unit, a metabolic cart, and she's playing this game, and definitely it's at least at the moderate to moderate level of physical activity, and she's playing this particular game. Does anybody know what game she's playing here against this other college student? What game is she playing? Wii boxing. Any of the boxing games, video games, whether you go to ESPN Zone or any of the boxing games, those tend to be the highest level of energy expenditure video games out there, unless it's like a really vigorous running one. So definitely they are exercise if somebody tells you they're not. And there's actually, ever since then, about this journal started, I think, about 2010. This journal came out, and it's called Games for Health Journal, because it was very hard to get articles published in the traditional journals because they would see the word video game in the abstract, and what would the reviewers think? Video games? That's not exercise, that's the enemy. And they would deny this transcript, the journal, the application, without even looking at the article. So they actually then had to create a new peer-reviewed journal called Games for Health Journal. So anything technology related, whether it's mobile apps, whether it's video games, whether it's, and they're using now games for pain control, in anesthesia, for pre-surgery stress. They'll use a video game, a little handheld thing. They've studied this to decrease the stress, calm them down. So they're using them in a lot of things. In physical therapy, there's a lot of, if any of you PT students go to the conferences, there's a lot of exergaming, active gaming presentations there now. So it's not just fun and games. It's actually, it's actually a true tool that can be used. I was helping a company in San Francisco develop an app, and this was one app that we developed called Mobile Adventure Walk. So it's just a simple app. It's sort of like a geocaching on your phone. I don't know if it's still up because unfortunately that company went down or folded, but because of very high-risk business. But it was a fun experience to learn and be involved. How to, what does it take to actually make an app? Because I'd never made an app before. So there's a lot of apps now out there. Zombie Runs is like I said, is an app out there. And then there's some that are not necessarily games, like MyFitnessPal or Strava. Any Strava users here? Okay, a few of you, yeah, okay. It was funny, my daughter got 4th place. She uses Strava. She got 4th place, and that night, the girl that got 5th place started following her on Strava. She's like, hey, why is she following me on Strava? He's like, oh, she wants to check your training. So very competitive girls. But she likes Strava because she likes to see where we ride. And then she goes, oh, Dad, I beat you on this section of the trail. And so that for her is fun to be able to beat her old man. So there are a lot of cool things out there online. Nike Plus has different things. And they're using what we call gamification tools here, leaderboards, trophies. These are all game elements that are now being used in these apps to encourage, to make it more fun. Okay, and I really believe, you guys are here in college right now. Some of you are going to be going in healthcare, but some of you may not actually be going directly into healthcare, but you may be involved in other areas. But guess what? Healthcare is changing. And I really, it's changing dramatically. And so what I used to do for, like I said, over 2 decades was be down here on the right or on the left, talking to patients, counseling with them, trying to get them to change their habits. But what if I could give them a tool like a Fitbit that would then interact with the game? So while they were going throughout their day, their steps were going into a game, and it was part of the game play. And then what if that game would also, and their Fitbit or their whatever activity tracker would communicate with me, or their EMR, their electronic medical record, because we're all moving in that direction. What if it said, hey, they didn't get their 150 minutes a week? It would contact me, send me an email. I could then contact the patient, say, hey, what happened last week? You didn't get 150 minutes. And they would tell me, oh, you know what? I sprained my ankle on Tuesday, and so I couldn't exercise. Well, that's great to know that now, because I can say, well, have you thought of trying a hand bike? Have you tried maybe water aerobics? Have you tried other things? Instead of waiting for their monthly follow-up, and when they come in a month, they'll say, well, I haven't exercised for 3 weeks. Well, why is that? Well, I had a sprained ankle way back here. If I had known about that back then, I might have been able to do something. Because healthcare is changing, now we're seeing more people that need to do these lifestyle changes, and I don't have enough time to meet with every individual. I don't have enough time to do all these classes. I don't have time to keep track. I can't look at 100 exercise logs every week, but with technology, I think it's going to really make health promotion, health education, prevention a lot more effective. And medicine is going to be needing people to develop these games, to create these games, to write these stories, to create this technology. So it's not just about the end user, the bottom working the patients. We're going to need a whole lot of people in healthcare, and that's where the future is. And so that's what I want you to keep in mind, that there's a lot of opportunities out there that are going because of all the healthcare changes. Okay? Universal. We want to think about exercise as being a universal, and what I mean by that is something for everybody. And we always say walking is the most universal thing that you can do. So it's easy, it's cheap. You can go out and walk anywhere pretty much. Although Debbie was saying she doesn't like walking right now because it's very cold. Although I forgot to put a picture in. My mom posted a picture of her in snowshoes in the front yard, and so I would use it in my class saying, "Oh, look, here's a 73-year-old lady walking around in her snowshoes in the front yard for exercise." So how old are you? Oh, you don't have to say Debbie, but, I don't think you're 70, right? So, or close to that even. So, but walking is a great one. Water aerobics is one I recommend a lot because a lot of times people can't, for whatever reason, do a lot of things with their body weight on their feet. I tried it. It wasn't my cup of tea. So, but a lot of people like it. Another one I've recommended is aqua jogging. You're wearing this flotation device on your waist, and it keeps your head right above the water. And so therefore, you can do all kinds of exercising without having to really know how to swim. Like I said, I'm into mountain biking, so I try to encourage kids. I really enjoy working with kids and introducing them to mountain biking. And so so I do a homeschool group, riding in the morning, because we used to homeschool Summer until she went to academy. But we have a wide range of kids. My youngest kid is an 8-year-old girl. She's only started riding with us about a month ago, and she is amazing. I think she's going to be a really good race. She was going down this one narrow chute of a trail, we call it the Jedi, and she crashed into the wall, bit it hard. And so I came up to her, I was right behind her, I said, "Oh, are you okay, Lillian?" She goes, "Oh yeah," you brushed off, got back on, crashed hard again. And she was fine, and she goes down the steep. I mean, it's really exciting to see. And it's only been 1 month that she's been riding. So we ride all over the place, and I carry the first aid kit. I carry all this stuff. I carry duct tape, because I might need that. But so far, no broken bones yet. So trying to include everybody in there and getting them interested in something that's fun and exciting is what I like to try to do. And I like those devices that allow even people who might have some disabilities or might not be able to do the normal thing to try to get them included and including everybody in the exercising. And it really comes from modeling and starting, setting an example. When Summer was born in 1997, here she is, she's 4 days old. Well, you can't really see her. She's inside that little pouch. She was 4 days old, and we wanted to expose her to physical activity at a very early age. And then as she got older, I would stick her car seat carrier inside the bike trailer there, strap her in, because I figured if it's good enough for a car, it's good enough for that. And sure enough it was, because one time it tipped over upside down, and she was perfectly fine in there, although she was screaming her head off, crying. But we would take her out there on the trails, and then eventually she was old enough to start biking, and then pretty soon, this is what the hills usually look like in February, nice and green, because we get a lot of rain then. But right now, it's totally brown. So it's, like I said, give us your snow, because we need it desperately, and the snakes are coming out sooner because they think it's summertime. But this is where we would go riding. And then, like I said, now she's on the high school team. I can't even keep up with her anymore. But, she started at a very young age. So if you can get kids started early, they're going to be used to it, and they're going to enjoy it, versus now kids, all they want to do is what? Sit there at the other kind of video game and just play this. So their thumbs get a lot of exercise, but they don't like to get out and enjoy the sun and the air and be physically active. And so some people have disabilities. This was in Loma Linda. My dad came out, he had a stroke about 12 years ago. And so now all these kids, my nephews and Summer and her cousins, they were all helping him in this triathlon that he did because it was a triathlon for all disabilities. And he was there on the bike part riding a tricycle. So think about how can we make it enjoyable for everyone, not just for the triathlete, not just for the athlete, because they have that extra drive. When you're working with real regular people, you got to think about how can I make it fun so that they'll enjoy it, and there are different ways to do that. And then the last part of F of the fun is the N, never ending. Now, I used to think, okay, I'm doing a pretty good job. I exercise an hour a day. How many people here exercise at least 1 hour a day? Raise your hand, especially in the wintertime. Whoa. Well, that's pretty good. How many about 30 minutes at least 5 days a week? Anybody do 30 minutes of aerobic activity 5 days a week? Raise your hands high so I can see. Okay. All right, so that means the rest of you didn't raise your hand aren't doing that, so you're below the recommendation. All right, well, I thought, okay, I'm doing the hour a day kind of thing, so I pat myself on the back and I think I'm okay, all right? But the question I want to ask you is, what are you doing the other 23 hours? Okay, how many of you sit in a car and drive, sleep in bed, watch television, sit at a desk, sit on the computer, not on the computer, sit at a computer, reading a book. And you're all students here, so I imagine you do a lot of sitting. In fact, I call this good sitting. Okay, you're students, you're sitting here. You might be playing on stage here, or you might be in the band or the orchestra. So what are you doing? You're sitting, right? We're all sitting all the time. And you know what? When I got into academia, back into academia again 2 months ago in January, I realized everybody sits, the staff, the faculty. I've never sat in so many committee meetings in my life. Debbie and I were talking about academia, how they committee everything to death, before they can make some kind of decision. And so I was sitting in, meeting after meeting. I had 3-hour dean's meeting, 2-hour this, a 1-hour lunch hour, and then, it was like crazy. And then in my office sitting. And so we do a lot of sitting, and now the latest thing in physical activity that I'm really interested in is what we call hypokinetic disease, which again came out in a book in 1960. You'll see it in the paper, sitting disease. In the last week, I think I've seen 3 or 4 articles in the local paper on this very topic, sitting disease. And then I found this TED Talk. This was just last year, and I've heard this several times. And I think this is going to be, you're going to hear this all the time. So if you haven't heard it, you're hearing it here first. I didn't say it, so that's why I want to give credit to the lady, Miss Merchant there, who said it. But she said, sitting has become the smoking of our generation. Okay, smoking, the fight against smoking celebrated its 50th anniversary. So, but for us, it's not really smoking that we deal with, it's sitting. Okay? And so just observe, after today, how long and how often everybody sits. And there's, I don't have the time to go through all the dangers, but basically the bottom line is sitting. If you're sitting more than a certain number of hours a day, 6 or 7 hours a day, you are at risk, okay, of disease and death. And they're saying, why is that? How does that happen? Well, certain things happen. Like when you sat down, it was like your computer went on sleep mode. Certain electrical activity in your leg muscles shut down, okay? After a certain amount of time, chemicals start to go out in your body that increase your fat storage, okay, when you're inactive. Your brain, after 20 minutes, so maybe some of you are already hitting this now because you've been sitting for more than 20 minutes, your brain's oxygen level starts to drop. When I used to study, I couldn't never figure out why I thought it was because the material was very boring, but after about 30 minutes, I'd be doing this thing, I'd read the same sentence like a million times. So when I was in school, especially in grad school, when you have to read a ton of stuff, most of the time I had my handouts from class, and I'd be up and down the room or in the library or outside on the sidewalk, walking around, reading my notes, because if I stayed inside sitting, I'd fall asleep. Now I know why. I was losing oxygen in my brain. This is one study that came out, huge study, huge sample size, about the risk of sitting and death and dying and mortality. And this is the thing that really caught my attention. I know you can't read it there, but it basically says, it says the conclusion, prolonged sitting is a risk factor for all-cause mortality independent of physical activity. In other words, it doesn't matter if you exercise for an hour every day. If you sit a lot the rest of the 23, you are still at risk. Okay, now I'm a very visual person, and I saw this from a cancer conference, and this one really jumped out at me. The lady at the bottom there, Anne, she obviously is at risk. She has the highest risk for cancer biomarkers because she's totally sedentary. No exercise, no physical activity during the day. Her whole bar there is gray. The next guy up, however, what's his name, Mike? The next guy up, he has that green box. That's his hour of exercise. That's me. Okay, I get my hour of exercise. Then I have a few little bars there. I take the stairs. I park far. I do some of these things. But the most of my chunk of my day is what? Sedentary. Where is my risk? It's still pretty high, right? It's still in the yellow, not that far from the orange. So I'm like, oh, great. Do I have to get a UPS job or a FedEx job and be walking on my feet all day and doing my exercise? No. The good news is that you only need to be active every hour for 1 to 2 minutes every hour to break that, to lower your biomarkers for cancer, okay? So if you have a family history of cancer, then this is something that you can do, because by the way, have you heard of epigenetics? I don't have time to talk about it here, but epigenetics is something that, is very new. I didn't learn about it when I was schooling here or at Loma Linda, but epigenetics is the study of how lifestyle affects genes. On our DNA strand, around our genes, there are little markers called epigenes, and they basically act like a light switch. So I know in my genetic DNA, I have inherited stroke, because my dad, especially diabetes type 2, because of my dad and all my aunts and uncles. They all have type 2. So I know at least I have diabetes type 2 and stroke genes in my body. Is there anything I can do about my genetics? Can I take them out? No. And patients who used to say, oh, it's in my genes, it's genetic, I can't do anything about it. Well, now we know these epigenes act like a switch on these bad genes, and up to 70% of our lifestyle can affect those genes. And so basically, if you have a bad gene, like a cancer gene, but you do all the right things, you have a 70% chance of turning off those switches so that way that gene never gets expressed. So guess what I'm trying to do? After watching my dad suffer with stroke and how long it takes to put on his clothes or, move or do these things, is I'm trying to do all I can to make sure I turn off those epigene markers for my diabetes or my stroke gene, because I know I can't change that. So we don't have an excuse now if it's genetic. If you have a family history of cancer, you can't say, well, it's a family history, I can't do anything about it. Yes, you can. Lifestyle is something that you can do, and exercise is one of them. So 1 to 2 minutes every hour is something you can do. Now, if you look at these risk factors, overweight, smoking, and being a couch potato, all right, or sometimes we call that sedentarianism, sitting disease, out of those three, you probably already know what I'm going to say, but out of those three, which one is the worst of the three? Being a couch potato, being out of shape. You may say, what? Smoking is obviously, 2,600 chemicals, 50 known carcinogens. Smoking is obviously the bad guy here, right? Well, or overweight. Well, Dr. Blair, huge researcher in the exercise world literature, he showed in his studies that if you are overweight or even obese, but overweight, but you exercise regularly, so you don't look like your typical marathon runner. He doesn't look like a typical marathon runner. If you are in shape and you exercise regularly, you have a lower risk of disease and death than a skinny, normal person that is out of shape and doesn't exercise, okay? So even if you might not get to that svelte marathon look, it doesn't matter. If you are physically active, you can be at a lower risk. Same with smoking. Dr. Robert Salas found the same thing. If you are a smoker, which sounds like an oxymoron, if you're a smoker but you exercise, and believe me, I've had aerobic instructors who smoke. I've had very physically fit people who are very active smoke, but they're closet smokers usually because they're very embarrassed about their smoking. But if you smoke and are physically active, you have a lower risk of cancer, death, and dying than somebody who is a non-smoker but is out of shape. So if I was an insurance agency, who would I really want to insure? I'd take the smoker exerciser versus the non-smoker non-exerciser. You see what I'm saying? So fitness, being a couch potato, being out of shape is the worst risk factor because it can actually protect you against being overweight and smoking. Now, obviously, what is the best scenario of all? What's the best one of all? Not being overweight, being a normal weight, non-smoker, exerciser, right? If you're a normal weight, exerciser, non-smoker, you're at the lowest risk of all, okay? And the Adventist Health study that we've done for quite a few years now at Loma Linda has proven that out. So even if you are struggling with other issues, if you exercise on a regular basis, and again, I'm not saying you have to be a marathon runner or a triathlete, if you do something to be in shape, you can protect yourself against these other issues, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, whatever, you can protect yourself. So sitting is literally deadly to our health. Okay? And so in my new office here, when I realized, okay, I'm going to be sitting a lot in my new job here, within the first month, I just purchased this thing called a VeriDesk where I can elevate my computer at standing height so I could stand while I'm exercising, while I'm typing on my computer. So guess what I found? I stay wide awake for hours while I'm standing there. Okay, so it's great. So I said, okay, maybe I can survive this thing. I took a tour of Facebook a couple of, years ago, and it was amazing. Facebook headquarters, nobody has offices, right? Not even Mark Zuckerberg does, but he doesn't have an office. Everybody works out in the open in different spaces, but they have a lot of standing desks. And then they have these little private rooms with these treadmills in them that you can check out and bring your laptop in and do your work on a treadmill desk. Okay, so they have all these different things to help their employees be more physically active. A couple of years ago, I was here speaking at a physical health fitness conference at Buller Hall. This is at Buller Hall. And guess what we were doing all day? Sitting in a health meeting. So it's sort of like going to a drug rehab conference and they're passing out drugs while you're sitting at a drug rehab conference meeting, you know? I mean, so I thought, what if we had chairs built in, or pedalers built into the chairs, so that while you were sitting there, you could be just pedaling. Again, we're not trying to get your heart rate up, and you're not trying to break a sweat, but you're still moving, you know, and that kind of thing. So they now have a lot of devices, a lot of gadgets out there. This is a shot from Best Buy, activity trackers, and some of you may have a Fitbit. Anybody have a Fitbit? That's probably the most popular one. I see a couple of hands. Fitbit. I use a Jawbone. I have the Jawbone right here. This is the Jawbone. And the thing I like about it is it has a mode on there called the idle alert. So I have it set, I don't know if you can read it there, when inactive for 1 hour, this thing will vibrate. So if I'm sitting there at my desk, if I happen to be sitting at my desk and I've been not active for 60 minutes, it will vibrate and it'll, whoa, oh, I better get up and move around. So it's a nice reminder, you know, when I was flying out here, you know, and it went off, I would get up and walk to the restroom, or I just got up because I knew, okay, I'm sitting for an hour, I got to get up and move. So there are a lot of these things. I think the Nike Fuel Band does that as well. So a lot of cool ways to try to remind us to get up and move. Okay, so what is the future of wellness? Well, here's the challenge that all of you, I mean, it's going to affect all of you, even if you're not in healthcare, because we all have to be part of the healthcare system. They're spending $2.5 trillion a year on healthcare. And the crazy part is they're spending over $8,000 per person on traditional medical things, drugs, surgery, those kinds of things, and only $251 per person per year on health promotion, health education, out of that $2.5 trillion. Now, here's the problem with that is, what is our return on investment? Well, over here, you can't see who that is, but that's the USA where that big red arrow is. We spend the most per capita for healthcare, far above all the other nations, and yet is our return on investment way up there at the top for what we're spending? No. We're spending a lot of money on high-tech things, but yet our return is not good because guess what? What is killing most Americans? What is causing disease? What are we paying for most in our country? 75% is spent on what we call NCDs. NCDs are non-communicable diseases: heart disease, cancer, diabetes, stroke. So yeah, we have pills, we have chemotherapy, we have this, but that's all treating the symptoms of these diseases. We need to start focusing on prevention. And unfortunately, the bad news is, and I know there's some of you here planning on going into medicine and all, the bad news is that for that 75% of our cost of our healthcare bill, surgeries and pills do not work on these NCDs. They only treat the symptoms. So for those of you who might be interested in prevention, we have to look outside of the box. And our church has already been doing this for quite a while. We have a head start. Okay, we have New Start, we have Creation, and Win Wellness right here. That was created by the Youngbergs. So we know what to do, but yet now modern medicine is now just starting to get the picture that, hey, you know what? It's not all about pills and surgery. It's about lifestyle. And I think with Obamacare, with all the, you know, stuff that people complain about, one thing that it has been good for is that it's now forcing companies to really focus on wellness. I know a big company, 30,000 employees in California, that they are now starting an employee wellness program, and they actually had a job opening for a wellness director because they need to look at their own employees, because out of their big thing, 15% of their employees at the very top that are costing their system, 80% of their healthcare costs is from 15% of their employees. Okay, so that's where I think wellness is going. Where we can get fun in there is our challenge, and help people make the changes, and that's what we're trying to do. So on that note, I thank you, and I want to do a little competition to close. So hopefully you've been thinking about this. Is there one male student, one female student, and then one? Oh, I see a hand. Oh, come on up. Okay, come on. Yep, you're right up here in the front. Good. So I need a female, and then I need a faculty or staff, because we're going to do a competition. We're going to see who can get the highest score on this particular game. So is there a female? There's got to be one female. Where's the one that's been doing the Fitbit? Right there in the middle. Why don't you come up? I know you're active, right? No, come on. Okay, I'll tell you what it is. So what it is, this is the Jackie Chan. This is the Jackie Chan. He actually made this, or he worked at the company. This is Zavix. So it looks like a snowboard. What it is that you are going to run, and you can do it with your shoes if you want. You're going to run for 10 seconds as fast as you can. In place, right on these squares. You're just going to go like that, run for 10 seconds. So he's going to run for 10 seconds. His score is going to be on there. So actually, let me get it up there. Oop. Let me get the game started. All right, is there a girl coming up? Come on, there's got to be at least one girl. Okay. Okay, we are going to do the dash. All right, good. What is your name? Catherine, and what is your name? Noah. Okay, so come on this side, Catherine. Now, do we have a faculty or staff person? Do I need to pull Dr. Feiner up here. So, okay, he's getting the suit cut off. Okay, cut it up. All right. Okay, so should I give him a practice or just go cold? Okay, cold. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're just going to put one foot in that square, one foot in that square. And it'll tell you when to go. And you can watch the screen. So then when it says go, just run as fast as you can. Okay? Okay. Ready? Go. Keep your feet in the square. There you go. Keep your feet in the square. Go, 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 go. Come on, cheer him on. Come on. You want to. All right, he's doing pretty good. Whoa, 90. Very good. All right. Okay, Catherine, let's see how she did. Oh, she took off her. Okay. That was the new record. All right. Yep, right foot in that square, left foot in that, and then just stay in those squares. Okay, ready? Go. Okay, keep going. You're doing good. Stay in the square. Keep going. Come on, you can do it. Faster. You got a little bit more. Faster, come on. You can do it. Whoa! Oh, 102! Oh, man. Woo! She's got some. Now, should we let him try to see if he can talk? We'll let Dr. Feiner go first. And wow. Yeah, just your one foot in one square. That's it. Yeah. Okay, well, go. Oh. Okay, sorry. Oh, see, he. All right. Okay, he's getting the idea. All right. Okay. Okay, you can look at the screen. Okay, ready? Go. Come on, go. Go. Yeah. Keep your feet in the square. There you go. Keep your feet in the square. Keep going. All right. Let's give him a big hand. Thanks. Oh, wait up here a second, and I'll give you a thing. So, all right. Thank you again very much, and I hope that it's giving you some ideas on how you can be more active, physically active. So even here in nice snowy Berrien Springs. Have a good day. All right.